For us, I think as a tenant organization, there is a perpetual housing crisis. But right now, it is even worse because it is affecting lower and middle class people as well. But it's affecting a very diverse population right now. We are seeing a lot of really crazy stories about tenants facing 400% rent increases, both in San Francisco and outside of the city.
I lived in this building and it was all seniors, and we suddenly, with a new owner, I received an $850 a month increase, and the other seniors in the building was $1,000 and more. I decided this is enough and we have to bring rents under control, and so that's how I started and why I started. We're looking for rent stabilization, which would regulate the increases in rents. We're going to put it on the ballot this November in conjunction with a just cause eviction ordinance, because you need both of those things to protect tenants.
Yeah, this is the first place that we came to in our married life, and it's just very frustrating, and that we've been trying to make it work. We're squarely within the middle income bracket, and we can't even afford apartments around here when we should be able to afford a nice house for ourselves. And it's just frustrating.
The whole rent issue, the way that it's been increasing by not just like $50 here or even $100 here, it's $600 here, $900 here. It feels like we don't make enough money to live here, and it's sad because we found work that we actually like and we want to live here, but we can't. It took us some time to get, our feet on the ground. After I got out of school, it was difficult to find actual stable work that wasn't temporary. And now that I found some work that's actually stable, and we're both making efforts to pay our bills, just to, settle down, it's just once the rent comes up, it's like, oh my goodness, this is setting us back. I don't feel anger at all. I just feel very depressed about the whole situation.
It's all too common for disabled and senior tenants to face eviction and be targeted for eviction, especially in cities like San Francisco, where those are your long-term tenants who are protected by rent control and are probably paying a lot less than market rate. I think 71% of those evictions that were filed had senior or disabled tenants who were given that eviction notice.
I'm Joseph Raymond Ramirez. I was born in San Francisco in the Noe Valley neighborhood in 1961. We got our eviction notice February of 2015, late in the month, and it basically said termination of tenancy. Their intent was to have all the units in the building taken off the market, the rental market. We're all covered under the ADA, and in California you get special consideration because our landlords are going forward with an Ellis Act eviction by taking all the rental units off the market. We get additional time up to a year to relocate. People asked, where are you from? And we would always say we're from San Francisco. We're San Franciscans. And all the memories, all the stories of our family, from my grandmother being Rosie the Riveter during the war and working in the factories, to my aunt, running railway cars, my dad being a Muni driver, to my aunts and uncles and parents playing cards at the Jewish Community Center. Those all weave into the fabric of who we are, and every place and every corner generally has a story for us. I have a hope that I can remain in San Francisco, because we don't have a move date. We're, perusing things and we're looking at things. And I have I would say a decent wage, close to the median. Even that is, over 50% of my income towards rent, which is excessive and leaves me very vulnerable to maintaining housing. Everyone tries to figure out who's at fault. Is it, the landlords? Is it the renters? Is it rent control? And really, I think a little has to do with geography. A lot of it was that prior generations didn't plan for housing for all income levels. I think everyone has a responsibility to create affordable housing that allows our communities to grow, to maintain the character, and allows the diversity of what attracted us to this area. And I think it's important that everyone have some level of responsibility in that.
So our current efforts to fight back against this crisis are supporting organizing efforts at the local and state level, building power to eventually advance legislation that would help solve the crisis long term. Those things concretely are, for instance, in Burlingame, there's a grassroots group that is fighting to repeal the ban on rent control there. There's also groups in the East Bay that have been talking to us about forming tenant associations, organizations in San Francisco that are looking to the state, to repeal the Ellis Act, Costa-Hawkins Act. Those things are needed in order to be effective at the local level as well. The eviction crisis in San Francisco is very personal to us as well. At Tenants Together, we are looking to have to move at the end of this year. We share a lease with the Eviction Defense Collaborative, and our lease is up, and they're looking for new tenants who can pay probably 2-3 times the rent that we can pay. And a lot of the nonprofits in the mid-market area are facing the same kind of situation. The city is doing some to help us get technical support in finding a new space, but there's a lot of uncertainty there. And it's really hard to live with this kind of uncertainty. We are lucky in a lot of ways to have a good amount of community support, to get some amount of support from the city, but it's still, we need to be housed in order to continue doing this work.
I just think that renters really need to unify, and they have to get that message that they're important. And if they don't want their lives uprooted and be forced out of their cities, they have to take this power themselves, because the city councils, the board of supervisors, the state senators, and the state legislators are not going to help us. We have to help ourselves, and it's extremely urgent. It's a crisis. It's not something that will be solved by building affordable housing over the next 5 to 10 years. Middle-class families are being forced out. And so we really need to protect the people who are left here and honor those who have already been forced out.